What up, YouTube? Here with a post-fight video for the Terence Crawford-Shawn Porter fight. This was for Terence Crawford's WBO Welterweight title. Now, on paper, and in my opinion, throughout Terence Bud Crawford's career, this was by far Bud's toughest challenge of his career thus far. And Shawn Porter, I would say, is without a doubt the best quality opponent overall on Terence Crawford's resume. Terence Crawford didn't disappoint with his performance. As y'all know, the results to this fight, Terence Crawford was able to score a 10th round TKO win over Shawn Porter. A gained effort by Porter, as always. Anytime Shawn Porter would take a loss in the fight, it would be via a close decision, whether it was against Keith Thurman, Kell Brook, Errol Spence, and now Terence Crawford. But Terence Crawford can say, even though the stoppage was highly questionable, and I disagree, like most fans from what I've seen, disagree with the stoppage as well. But Terence Crawford can say he's the only man to ever stop Shawn Porter in Shawn Porter's illustrious career. Without any further ado, let's get into the in-depth analysis of the fight. Now, Porter came out aggressive as always, tried to make this into a firefight. Crawford would neutralize the come forward aggressive style of Porter by slipping his punches, utilizing his footwork and movement, and switching stance from orthodox to southpaw as he fought throughout most of this fight as a southpaw and using pivots and angles to slip away and counter from Porter's attacks, and Crawford would land more of the quicker and cleaner punches, and his timing and accuracy was proven to be more elite than Porter's, as proven in this fight. However, it doesn't mean Porter was out of the fight. Porter, like always, would make this into a highly competitive fight, like all his fights, and made it as physically as uncomfortable as possible for Terence Crawford. And yeah, Shawn Porter, he's got a fast and sharp head movement when he tries to get inside the range of his opponents to make this into a pit bull like fight. And yeah, Shawn Porter also has some successes as well with the looping right and the lead left, landing some of his shots on Terence Crawford as well. Just so happened that Crawford would be more accurate with his punches and had the better overall movement all throughout the fight. And in the 10th round, which is where the fight ended, Terence Crawford would score a knockdown as he caught Shawn Porter coming in with a short left uppercut. This wouldn't stop Porter from backing off of him. Shawn Porter kept on trying to make this fight into a firefight, and he kept lunging forward, and Terence Crawford would take advantage of Porter lunging forward as he would step back, then step forward. He was using that step back when Porter's trying to close the gap, and then step forward and step on the gas pedal a little extra heavy when he would attack and 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 back Shawn Porter off of him. Um, and yeah, he would land a flurry of a combination of punches, which would land cleanly, which would floor Porter again. Um, Shawn Porter didn't look that much hurt or distraught at all. His legs wasn't all the way up under him, but he looked more frustrated than hurt. As if y'all saw the second Creed movie when Creed gets knocked down, and he would throw that spaz and tantrum on the canvas. That's that's what Shawn Porter was doing when he got dropped for the second time. He would answer the referee's count. However, his father, Kenny Porter, would step up to the apron of the ring and throw in the towel, which would force the referee to call a halt to the bout. And you heard the crowd's dissatisfaction as they were booing, like the commentators, and also the fans who were watching all throughout, whether they were watching at the arena or home were questioning this stoppage, and in the post-fight interview, you heard Kenny Porter say, he thought Shawn Porter didn't train hard enough during the lead up to the fight. That's why he felt like Shawn Porter, who's known for his physicality, uh, wasn't at his best tip top shape. He wasn't in championship fight condition. So with him being dropped twice in one round, um, heading into the championship rounds, he felt like he was gonna get really badly hurt or possibly knocked out cold, and his own trainer, his own father, didn't believe that he could make it through the championship rounds. That's why he had predicted it coming. That's why he said he threw in the towel. Now, does that, in my opinion, does that mean it was a legit reason to why um he should have threw in the towel? I don't think so. I think Porter would have continued. I don't know. I didn't see the any lead up shows heading into the fight. I don't know how Shawn Porter was doing during his camp. Only him and his team would know. But usually Shawn Porter, he's a physical specimen, and he trains his ass off, and it would be hard to believe that he wouldn't be in championship condition, knowing how many big fights he's been in. Because Shawn Porter is that guy who's fought every guy at welterweight in their prime, every top quality opponent that he could fight. He ain't dug nobody. He took on every fight possible. He fought both Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, who are the kingpins at 147 right now. So it's kind of hard for me as a fan to believe that he wasn't physically fit to go on for the championship rounds. I don't know where that came from. I disagree with the stoppage still to this day. And during the post-fight press conference, Shawn Porter would announce that he would retire from competing in the sport. I mean, he's done all he can. He's got a very impressive resume. Um, he's gonna move on to other avenues uh, within the sport. As y'all know, he does commentating for PBC. Um, he also has his own podcast show, the Porterway podcast. If y'all ain't tapped into that, y'all should go tap in. They got some good content when it comes to the sport. So I guess he's focused on those ventures now that he's retired from the sport. And as far as Terence Crawford goes, this was a huge leap up in competition for him. As far as the quality of opponents that he's faced throughout his career, as his main criticism is his lackluster of opponents. He doesn't have the top quality opponents on his resume to say, yo, he's really that guy at 147. Maybe when he was fighting at super lightweight and at lightweight where he was undisputed at, but even back then, he wasn't, fighting, as they would say, the best opponents in the division when he was undisputed at 140 and when he was a champion at lightweight. The competition wasn't as steep as it is now at 140 and at 135. But 147, PBC, Shawn Porter's who's a PBC fighter, by the way, or was a PBC fighter. PBC has all the welterweights. When it comes to the welterweight division and the mix, PBC's got all the fighters in the welterweight division. As y'all know, Terence Crawford, his fight with Shawn Porter was his last fight under top rank promotional banner. And with that being said, I don't know if Terence Crawford is going to re-sign with Bob Errol. I think he's rumored to have signed with PBC. That would be the right move because that's where Errol Spence is, and that's the other welterweight kingpin. And then um, you also got the WBA welterweight champion who also fights under the PBC banner. That's Yordenis Ugas, who's coming off that big career highlight win over Manny Pacquiao last summer, and so there you have it. Terence Crawford's got the option if he switches ship to PBC to make that mega fight happen with him and Errol Spence. And Spence is rumored to fight Yordenis Ugas next spring to unify 3 of the 4 major titles at 147. And if Terence Crawford were to switch over to PBC, me and a homeboy of mine was talking about this, and he wanted to see Terence Crawford fight Yordenis Ugas before he fights Errol Spence, so that way he has the other 2 welterweight titles, making it an even playing field. So when Errol Spence and Terence Crawford meet in the ring, they both have 2 respective titles each, and they will have all the titles on the line when they meet. But it looks like WBA has asked the mandatory challenger for their ranking system to step aside for the Errol Spence Yordenis Ugas fight to happen, because I think when Ugas was campaigning for that Spence fight, WBA was saying, oh, he has to fight as mandatory, but now it's rumored that the Spence Ugas fight is targeted to happen for next spring. With that being said, Terence Crawford can sit back, relax, and watch who wins that fight and go for the undisputed crown at 147. And he still has other options, other top quality opponents that he could face while leading up to that undisputed title showdown. Uh, like I said, PBC has all the welterweights. You have Danny Garcia, he could fight, who's one of those gatekeepers, a well-known name at 147, who fights under PBC. You have Keith Thurman, who's going to make a comeback. He's fighting Mario Barrios at welterweight next February. If he does well, or whoever wins that fight, Terence Crawford can defend his WBO crown against the winner of that fight. Um, there's a bunch of other names out there that PBC can have Terence Crawford get in the ring with. With that being said, as far as the pay-per-view numbers goes, um, they did 135,000 buys, which is the kind of number that I expected. Like much other boxing fans, unless you're like a real Terence Crawford fanboy or something like that, and expected him to do like somewhere around 500K. I don't see that, because the biggest criticism that came for Terence Crawford, other than his lack of top quality opponents, which was kind of out of his hand, by the way, was the fact that he don't draw. He draws maybe in his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska, but that's a small pocket of the country. And with that being said, Errol Spence was utilizing that argument to his advantage, to why there should be a 70-30 per split. Not only is he the holder of majority of the belts when it comes to the welterweight division, um, he draws more. Errol Spence in his pay-per-view, uh, he did over 300K with Mikey Garcia, over 250K with Danny Garcia. With that being said, he draws more off top, and whenever he fights in Dallas, he has what sold out, not a sold out, but he could put butts in seats at a football stadium, something that Terence Crawford cannot do in his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. Not that he can't, but um that they haven't tried that yet. You get what I'm saying? Maybe he could sell out a football crowd somewhere in Nebraska, but they haven't tried that yet. And he does lower pay-per-view numbers. And with this being said, if Ugas fights Errol Spence, um, and Spence wins that fight, he would hold 3 of the 4 major titles at welterweight, which would also give him a more of a leverage heading into their undisputed title fight. And anyways, y'all, the pay-per-view numbers, it surpassed my expectations. Crawford now has a legit championship material opponent under his resume. With that being said, let me know what y'all thoughts are in the comments. Subscribe, share if y'all want, and happy holidays. Be safe, be healthy, peace.